Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode on the podcast. This episode is for you if you want to learn all about creating profitable digital products that are passive and allow you to build your wealth and build your income alongside all of your other amazing offers. This week on the show, we have Rachael Taylor, and she's a business and mindset coach that helps women entrepreneurs use online marketing to their advantage to create profitable digital products and courses so that they can scale their business to six figures and earn passive income without complicated funnels or paid ads. Rachael was so lovely to talk to you. She has so much insight and honestly leaves you with the most incredible tips on what you can do to implement this right away without having to really dig and figure out how to do all of the different things. You can also get free business mindset and online marketing tips, as well as learn more about how to work with Rachael to create your passive income sources at thecreativerachel.com, which will be linked in the show notes here. So I'm excited about this conversation today because I learned a lot about creating a course. And as a business owner, I want to be adding these streams of income into my business and being able to provide people with courses that are going to really impact significantly the output that people put into their businesses, especially their podcasts. So anyways, without further ado, let's dive into this conversation with Rachael so you can hear all of her incredible insight that I am just so excited I got to hear. Hello, Rachael. Welcome to the Happiness Happens podcast. I'm so excited that you're here today and to chat with you.
Hi, thanks for having me on. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I think you saw on my Instagram that we just got a puppy, and that has been so fun. Although we've been awake every 3 hours for the last 2 weeks because your puppy has a little baby bladder, and I did not take that into account. So I have had a lot of coffee in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
But she's so cute. It's worth it. And she's so excited already to see us. Like, I just feel like I'm the most important person in the world. Like, this dog, if you go away for 20 minutes and comes back, she's just like, oh my gosh, where have you been? So it's just so good. It's wonderful.
It's the best feeling. It's the best feeling. We had a dog he was 13 years old, and we had to put him down like 2 falls ago,
Yeah.
2019. And he was, though, Rachael, honestly, he was the cutest, dumbest, like most full of like life and
I love
personality.
it.
And every time we would come home, we lived in an apartment at the time, and every time we would come home, we would come in through into the door, and I had like a direct line to the couch, so I could see the couch as soon as he would be buried in, and he was a Shih Tzu, so he had long hair, and he would be buried in the couch in the blankets.
I
And
love
I'd
it.
flip the lights, like if it was like in the wintertime, I'd flip the lights, and all of a sudden he would be like,
Yeah. They're here. They're here.
They're here. They're home.
Yeah.
And we would just laugh so hard because he looked so upset. He was like, "You bothered me." Like, I was sleeping.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah, it was snowing at 1 this morning. And so half
Oh,
of our
wow.
being out at 1 in the morning was her just being like, snow, snow. And then she was trying to eat the snowflakes. And I was just like, this is adorable.
Oh,
I'm not even upset that it's
no.
1 in the morning. This is so cute. So,
Oh, it's so cute.
Yeah.
It's so cute. I love that so much. And I follow your dog's page on Instagram. I'm obsessed.
I love that. Yeah.
But
It's
truthfully, I
so
could,
good.
and I literally could talk about dogs all day long, but that's not why we're here on
I
the
know, right?
podcast
Sorry.
today.
I know.
Even though I wish it was.
Speaking
No,
of
that's
procrastination,
okay.
that we'll talk
I
about
love it.
later on. Yeah, for those of you not dog lovers, just bear with us. We're gonna change subjects.
Right? Exactly. Like, skip ahead. No, I'm just kidding. If you're not a dog lover, I don't know why you're listening. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking around. In any case, I would love to know a little bit about the journey that's brought you to where you are today and how you've gotten here.
Absolutely. So I feel like the first thing that I tell everyone off the bat is when I was 19, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And it was one of those things where, so I'm 30 now. And so it's been 10-ish years, math. And so one of the things that I was told was at 19, when you're typically, at least in the United States, that's kind of like the point of where like your life is starting. right? Because you're leaving high
Mm-hmm.
school, you're going to go to college maybe, or you're starting your first job, you're entering the workforce, or you're traveling. Like it's kind of that like next tier of life, right? You've left school and it's like, oh, I can make my own decisions. Cool. And so it's almost like that the world is your oyster. And so at 19, I was basically told you're going to have pain your whole life. You're never going to be able to have a full-time job. You're never going to have probably won't have enough energy to like do basic things. And so I was just basically told like this is what like your life will be like. You will be always be on medication. You will always have this problem. And it was really discouraging when, especially at the time, you expect things to be opportunities are limitless, right? Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's your time. Very like New York, New York. If you can make it there, kind of a deal. And so what I found was after being depressed for a few years, kind of being like, oh, still going to college, I realized I didn't like that. I don't like this prognosis. I don't like this diagnosis. I don't agree with this. And so I got like feisty and angry and sassy enough to be like, what are we going to do about this? And so, with the help of my doctor and being very careful and specific, we got off all the medications, all sleeping pills, all antidepressants, all pain medication. We went off all of it over time, safely, of course. And I started getting interested in naturopath and wellness and things like Pilates and yoga and eating clean and good gut health and hypnotherapy and just really diving into like the whole other section of the world when you have pain and you're trying to heal something and like I did therapy. I've done almost one of everything at this point, and I love learning. I love doing all that new stuff. And so what I found was my physical pain and my fatigue is linked to emotional stress. And I am a high energy, intense, anxious person. And so if I don't manage my stress, I have all of this pain, I have this fatigue and all, and then I have all of these other things. And so I was like, oh, I just have to manage my stress. Cool. And so that led me on a journey to where I started to realize that I wanted to live in this world of helping people. I wanted to really dive into that. And I was trying to find a way of how is that going to work for me? What's the best setup? What's the best business model? And so I became a certified Pilates instructor. I started teaching one on ones. I started teaching group classes. And then I started to work with clients outside of that, doing more like texting and motivations and calls because all of my clients wanted to change their habits. They wanted to be healthier. And so I found that I wanted to increase that skill set. So I went to health and life coaching school, got another certification, just started collecting certifications basically, and hit that point where I realized I really love writing. I love this idea of online business. It seems like everything I wanted at 19, of where it's this limitless opportunity because you just need Wi Fi and electricity and a laptop, right? And you have access to as many people you could ever imagine. And I really liked that idea. And so the interesting thing about COVID was I was doing both. I had a foot in both worlds. I had my online business where I was helping
Mm.
people grow their business, change their habits, work on their mindset with their marketing. And I still had my Pilates business because I love my clients. And I didn't want to, you're like, my clients, they become your family. And then everything with COVID, of course, has changed that. And I've devoted 100% to just my online business and really helping people this year with passive income and with marketing and mindset. And I found a really nice marriage between the two where it's not just the strategy of like, how am I going to find people and what am I going to offer them? Like, how am I going to get paid? How am I going to talk about that? But then it's the other part of I have to actually follow through on the action that I made in the plan, right? And then I have to do the plan. So you make the plan and then you do the
Exactly.
plan, and then that's where your success bubble comes from. And so that's pretty much how I ended up here, and that's me in a little summary.
Wow. That's really, really crazy. And I'm curious because there are people who are listening to the podcast who have chronic illnesses, who have been diagnosed with something that they may not exactly have anticipated or known how to navigate. And so how did you manage your diagnosis and like your illness and start a business at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, especially with something like fibromyalgia, which,
Mm-hmm.
is a very hard illness to navigate. I'm curious, like, do you
Mm-hmm.
have any tips for our listeners who are wanting to start up that business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the first thing I would say is make sure you're getting enough sleep,
Mm.
because sleep is really healing. And you are going to, when you first start your business, start looking for advice, webinars, free tools, PDFs, courses. You're gonna dive into all of that. You're learning a new skill, you're learning a new process. And so just like you would go to school for something, you need to basically go online and get the version of a school textbook would be and start learning from people that have been in that space and can teach you skills. And so you need to remember that as you're doing that, you want to get enough sleep and you need to be nice to yourself, because you're learning a new thing. Change is stressful. And it's okay that you're probably going to feel a little overwhelmed. There is a lot of information out there. But the best thing you could do for yourself is understand how you like to communicate with people. So if you are all
Mm.
about having one on one conversations, lean into DMs, lean into a social media platform like Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, whatever it is, and start talking to people and just build up those relationships. If you like being more of a step back and you are more of a writer and you're more of a creative, lean into blogging. Really focus on learning how to drive traffic to your website. And so pick one way to get people to connect with you, however that may be, and just lean into that and give yourself permission to do all the other strategies later. You don't have to suddenly have 6 social media platforms and be active every day on all of them, because uh, one day you can hire a VA because you'll have the money and they can do it for you. Yay! So you just have to
Exactly.
pick one. Pick one strategy for finding
Exactly.
clients and go from there, and just be nice to yourself. Get a lot of sleep. If you have a kind of exercise stretching routine, try to do that every day, and just treat every day as like, I would like to do X. And if you don't get to everything on your list, you didn't fail, you're fine. If you need to not work on your business at all that day, that's fine. Just give yourself that permission to let it be really flexible, because the whole point of your business is that it's flexible. So then don't beat yourself up that you're taking advantage of the fact that it's flexible. That's the whole point. You have it, right? So embrace the fact that you've got that freedom, and don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing fine.
I love that. That's so, so, so good. And so would you say
Mhm.
now, after managing, this diagnosis for 10 years, do
Mhm.
you find now that, like, the tools and, like, the techniques that you've implemented in terms of, like, being kind to yourself and, like, giving yourself space, are you able to sort of manage that on a daily basis? Or are there still sort of days where, they're not good days, right?
Yeah. No, there's for sure not good days. Like, yesterday was not a good day because I was on day all last week. My boyfriend was doing the 1 a.m. So, like, I was still awake, but I wasn't getting out of bed, walking downstairs, going out in the cold, coming back.
Yeah.
And then his lack of sleep made him have a cold.
Oh,
And so I was like,
no.
oh no, we're both down for the count. And of course, Penny, our puppy, is just like, what's wrong? Everything's fine. She's got all the energy. She's 8 weeks old, so she's loving life. And so I had to take over. And so I was on day 3 of getting up at 1 and 5 a.m. I usually
Oh.
wake up around 7:30. I go to bed around 9. I wake up around 7:30. I'm really petite, but I need a lot of sleep. So our joke is that I'm like one of those tiny little woodland squirrels that just like sleeps all the time. Like, the smaller you are, the more sleep you need or something. Because he's 6 feet and he needs like 6 hours and he's fine. And I'm just like, that does not work for me. I need 8 to 9 to 10.
No.
And
Yeah.
so like yesterday we hung out and I finished out the last season of Big Bang Theory, which I've been working on since
Mm.
COVID started. So I'm crushed that goal, check. And then he fell asleep in and out watching the most 3 recent Star Wars movies, while I just like hung out and I crocheted, I took care of the dog, I cooked us soup, but like we pretty much just like sat all day yesterday. And I needed that. And the nice thing about it is my
Mhm.
business, and the beauty of having an online business is My website is done. I have funnels set up. I had social media already scheduled and batched out. So the fact that I wasn't like present in my business and I maybe took 8 minutes answering the 6 emails I needed to, it was fine. The world didn't stop. Kept going. All good.
Exactly. Exactly. I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you so much
Mhm.
for sharing that. I'm sure that's going to be really helpful for some of the
Yeah.
people who are listening. So I appreciate you being
Sure.
open to chatting about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I love
So
sharing. I feel like it's something that's really important to talk about.
I do too. I really do. And
Mhm.
I really do. I think that it's so important to shed light on all of these different things because you really never
Mhm.
know what someone is going through. You know, you really never know what they're experiencing. And so that one size
Mhm.
fits all approach just doesn't work because people have different needs, right? And they
Mhm.
just have different ways of
Mhm.
living in different businesses. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Let's debunk a little bit of like this myth, if you not even a myth, but this language. So, a lot of people in the
Mhm.
online space talk about 6-figure months, 6-figure years, scaling your business
Mm.
to 6 figures. I personally do not resonate with that messaging because I feel
Mm.
like it's so overplayed right now. You know what I mean? That people have
Mhm.
taken this wording and made it been like, for me, it kind of like takes if you have a 2K month, it takes out the significance of what that means. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I want to talk and I want to ask you, why is there so much buzz around scaling your business to 6 figures? And what does 6 figures really signify when you take the vanity metrics out of it
Mm.
all?
Mhm. I think it's one of those things that so I'm from Los Angeles, so growing up in this world, my dad's in the entertainment industry, my sister and her husband are as well. All of our friends growing up were all in the entertainment industry. My cousin's an actor. Um, and so I there's this almost like you get a six-figure salary, and when you hit that, for some reason it means you're at like that next level of success, because in
Hmm.
LA a starting salary is between 50 and 85K because it's so expensive to
Okay.
live here. And that just, I know some people listening are probably just going to be like, what?
What?
But like
I
that's what it
know.
is. That's a starting salary in like a large corporation, whatever role it is. And so when you think about the fact that your rent out here is between $3,000 and $6,000 every month, depending on where you live. Your insurance and health insurance, and like I know we're not eating out right now, but we're still ordering in. Your expenses, you're at between like $6,000 and $8,000, and for like a regular typical average lifestyle in LA. And that's just like, I know it just sounds so like but that's the numbers here. And so
That's the truth.
for most of my audience, when I look at, so most of the people that resonate with my content are on the East and West Coast. And so
Mm.
that is those are kind of the financial metrics of where we're all looking for. So we are always looking for this idea of, oh, if I'm making 10K and over every month, I can actually start to spend money doing other stuff outside of just gas, groceries, rent, because rent is so expensive. I feel like you have more freedom, and so it gives you that extra $1,000 to $2,000 to play with, because our I've Tim Ferriss, I think, in the 4 Hour Work Week, where he talks
Hmm.
about this new rich, or this like new millennial, of where we want experiences and we want travel and we want moments. We don't necessarily
Hmm.
want as much stuff. And so when you look at someone that's,
Yes.
say, our parents' age versus our age, and you have $2,000 extra every month, my dad bought a crazy expensive TV that is fancy and rare, and I'm like, cool. And we went skiing, So it's like
You bought a puppy.
my
No, I'm
dad
just
didn't want
kidding.
to. And actually, yeah, we bought a puppy. It was, yeah. So we bought the experience of a dog, and so it's like, we want, if we have to choose between a thing and an experience or a memory, we typically gravitate towards the thing and the experience and the memory. And so it's nice to have that cushion. And so I think in LA, especially, and in these places where it's really
Mm-hmm.
expensive to live, this idea of six figures, it resonates. And it also, we sometimes forget to set money goals, or we hold ourselves back from setting a money goal because we're worried we're going to be disappointed. And so having this like idea of, oh, six figures, it just gives you something to shoot for. And so
Mm-hmm.
in an online business world where everything is like, you define your own success. If a 2K month is your goal and you hit your goal or you get close to it, that's your six-figure year. That's your 10K month. Like, that's just as big of a deal
Mm-hmm.
as we're earning the 10K. And so it's just a matter of, I think, giving something for people to shoot for when you're asked, well, how much do you want to make in your business? And you're like, well, I don't know, six figures, you know? And I think that's really where it comes from. But I agree with you.
That makes
You
a
set
lot of
your money
sense.
goal every month. And yeah, it's what you want to earn. It could be $200 in your success. Like, it could be $2.
Totally.
It's
Totally.
it's it's your metrics.
Exactly. Exactly, exactly. It's
Yeah.
totally up to you at the end of the day. But I'm glad that you broke it down like that,
Yeah.
because when you really think about it, like I'm just outside of Toronto in Canada, and like I'm in a small town,
Oh,
and so
nice.
like truthfully our cost of living here really isn't the same as what it was when I was
Mhm.
living closer to the city. Like when I was in the city, it was completely
Mhm.
different. And so when you think about it from that perspective, in that, there's a reason behind, I like to have reasons behind things. I'm such a weird person
Totally.
like that. Like the fact that there's like, it makes sense as to why. So you're not just like throwing a number in the air. You're kind of like, well, I actually need this much to be able to live and enjoy my
Yeah.
life. And so,
Yep.
you can make that in your business, or you can go and work a job that you don't
Yep.
love, and make something close
Mhm.
to it. But then what's your exchange for time
Yep.
versus money? So I think that's really important too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And don't forget you have taxes, which are up to 40%.
Of course.
So
Exactly. Let's just throw that on there.
always take 30% off the top. Yeah.
Let's just
I
throw.
always ask people that. I'm like, do you want your net to be 10K a month, or do you want are we just hitting it and then you're good with like, and then they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, taxes. Yeah. Not a bad thing to have taxes. It makes the world go round, but like, take that into consideration.
Totally,
You know?
totally. Yeah, you really need to think about that. It's so true. I mean, over
Mhm.
here, it's like, I think it's like over 250,000. It's 50%, which is so wild to me, because
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
like, oh my
So
God,
wild.
like it is, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But in any case, so you
Yeah.
help people create passive income, right? So why would you say
Totally.
passive income is so important? And what kind of passive income could people integrate?
Absolutely. So for me, I think the motivation is very much coming from a place of having fibromyalgia, where when I
Mm,
was teaching Pilates, I would teach 40 sessions a week, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturdays. And while I loved my clients and I loved teaching and I love that interaction, it was really, really hard. It was some of the toughest years in being a business owner in my life, because I had bad days still, and I would have to cancel and I would feel bad, and then I would lose money, and then the person would get frustrated. And so it just created this environment of where I felt like I was always failing. I had to choose between
mm,
failing someone or feeling good. And I hated that. And I thought there must be a better way, and there is. And so with passive income, it's no different than like you literally going to Amazon Prime, clicking buy now, and your, you know, toothbrush shows up at your door. That's whoever's orbits or whatever. I don't give you tooth dental care 101. I'm like, I can't think of a toothbrush brand. This is cracking me up. Um, they received money, but like they didn't have to like have a phone call with you and be like, would you like to buy our toothbrush? Okay, what's your shipping address? Okay, I need your credit card. Like it just happened. They got money, you got a toothbrush, everyone's happy. And so the idea is to create something like that in your business, because passive income doesn't mean you don't have to teach one on one. You can do both. But it would be nice if, say, you wanted to go on vacation, or you're having a bad day because you have chronic illness, or you want to be pregnant and you want to take off 3 months, or you're pregnant and you're nauseous for 3 months. And then you want to, it's maybe you just need to take a step back from your business, but you're the breadwinner, or your income is that
mm.
extra 2K, or your income is just important to you. And you're like, I don't want to not make money. I don't like how that feels. and you don't have to choose. And so passive income gives you the freedom of not having to choose between yourself and the things you want to do and earning money. And so by building things in like a course, either like a big course with like a mastermind and a community or a membership, or something that's like really tiny that somebody can like do in a weekend, or something in between where maybe a little webinar, or you have like a little opt-in and then you send them some emails, you get them excited and then they buy and then you're like, yay, and they get the thing and you get paid and everyone's happy. And it just gives you that freedom to choose. And I think that's really, really important. And as somebody with fibromyalgia, I teach on Mondays and Thursdays, and I do that on purpose because I'm really, really specific about what I do on Sunday and what I do on Wednesday. And I have to put a lot of control into my day to make sure that I feel ready and I feel good and my brain is where it needs to be. But on Tuesdays and Fridays and Saturdays, I get to be a little more lenient, and my body is kind of trained itself to be like, all right, we're going to be on, and then we're going to be able to like relax, and then we're going to be on, and then we're going to relax. And that works really well for me. And so it just gives you that freedom.
I love that. That's so, so, so good. And so, in terms of courses and memberships and that kind of thing, like, how can someone use courses to grow their business? Because I think there's this idea that, like, if you have a course, maybe you should, always have an element of community or a group where someone goes in or something like that. And I think it can almost be like overwhelming for people. So I feel like courses turn into these like, oh, buy my program, but then you can also have the course on the side for free. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think a really great example would be when you want to create a course and you don't want to have that community or that live coaching aspect where you're going in and you're doing that upkeep and then you're keeping that energy in that space. Make it as specific and bite-sized as possible. So if you specialize in marketing, don't sell a course that's like, this is how to market your business, because people are going to be overwhelmed. They're going to need your help. Make it about emails, make it about a funnel,
Mm.
make it about your freebie, make it about how to have DMs, like how to get leads. So make it really, really specific and teach someone one skill that they can master and give them all the information they need so that they can walk out of that course and go, I know how to write email funnels. I know how to create an opt-in. I know how to get it, start a DM, and I know how to get someone on the phone and have a conversation with me if you're a consultation based business for your marketing, and
Mm.
keep it really simple. And if you want to do like the bigger thing, like a B school, where Marie Forleo is like start to finish, this is the idea, and we're gonna go all the way. You need a community for that because you go in and you're excited, but you're like, oh, there's so much to do. Oh my gosh. And it's just like, my brain. And so you want that space to just like check in and have that with people. So it's really about like, are you teaching someone a skill? Or is your course like more of an emotional mindset thing? And if it's like a mindset thing or like a manifesting thing, make it specific. What are they manifesting? What are they working on in their mindset? Is it just
Mm.
procrastination? Is it just sabotage? Is it just money? And then just position it that way. And so your marketing is going to tell the person what they're going to learn, and give them the confidence that they can go in, learn it themselves, and then walk out with that skill.
I love that so much. That's such a great technique because
Mhm.
a lot of the times you think like, okay, I'm gonna do a smaller course, but I'm gonna pack it with all this information, and it's actually more overwhelming for
Mhm.
people. And then in that case, if you were to create, smaller little bundles, like little offers, then you can bundle
Mhm.
them together. You know what I mean? And like you can do like
Mhm.
here, buy all three, and then this is what you would pay instead.
Exactly. Yeah. I see it all the time. People will be like the creative vault, or they'll make it like something cute like that, and it'll be like 3 grand and you get like all 20 courses, and then
Yeah.
it's like, cool.
That's a really great idea. I love that so much. And so, do you have any other, quick tips maybe for our listeners of what they can do to sort of create courses, like other than what you just
Mhm.
mentioned now?
So I think the thing that everyone wants to be aware of is there's two really big blocks whenever anyone wants to make a course, and it's how am I going to get people enrolled and what should it be about? And that
Mm.
just freezes and paralyzes a lot of people. And just be aware of the fact that those questions are going to come up and your brain's going to be like, oh no, I don't have the answer. And then secondly, the only way to fix that is to like literally go out and talk to people. And so in
Mhm.
your content, so wherever you're posting on social media or wherever you do your DMs, start to ask people questions and start to post and see what topics get a lot of engagement. And so for me, what I did was basically the reason why I do marketing and mindset is because I still have posts and content that are getting recirculated and getting picked up by Google and by Pinterest that I wrote 3-4 years ago, but it's on the same topic that I talk about now.
Wow.
So it's on business mindset or it's on enrolling people in your course. And so it just keeps coming up as website pages that people are visiting. Those are the social media posts that get the most engagement. Those are the emails that when I send my list get the most opens. And so it starts to tell you, oh no, this is something people need. This is what they want to hear from me. This is what I'm good at. And it gives you that confidence to then start to make offers. And you can choose to,
Mm.
depending on what you're building, if you know that you're going to procrastinate on building the course, get people to buy it first. If you know you're going to procrastinate on
Mhm.
getting people to buy it, maybe you build your course to give yourself more of an idea around what is it about, right? And so the simplest way, honestly, and this is like just a quick little cheat sheet for you, build your sales page first and go through,
Mm.
okay, what are people going to want to know? What are they feeling right now? What am I going to help them feel or know instead? What objections are they going to have? How can I tell them that like I can help you? How can I make them feel confident? How can I make them feel comfortable? How can I make them feel capable? What are some phrases? What are some word pictures? What are some expressions or stories that I can include in the sales page to kind of take someone through this like mental checklist of like, okay, what's this about? Okay, yeah, that's what I'm feeling. Okay, yeah, that's what I want instead. Okay, but yeah, oh, that's the objection. Okay, they solved it. Okay, and so you're kind of going through that checklist. And when you write that sales page, you'll start to see that maybe you have ideas for 4 courses and you need to just focus on one, or maybe you need
Mm.
to have it be a higher priced and position it differently, knowing, oh, I really do need to talk about these 4 topics and I can put it in one. And so that helps you figure out what you're selling. And that gives you the confidence to then actually talk to people and know what you're selling is resonating with them. And you can start to build that connection and that communication line. And it sets you up to have people that like you will share about it. Maybe they'll buy from you. And so it's like that natural
Exactly.
progression is really, really important.
I love that. Those are some amazing tips. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's
You're
gold
welcome.
because I feel like there's so much overwhelm with creating a course and what goes into it and
Mm-hmm.
like where will people buy it and will it resonate with
Mm-hmm.
people. So I think that's all amazing. But you touched
Mm-hmm.
on something in there that I want to shift into a little bit, which is procrastination.
Oh
So,
yeah.
oh yes. So, why would you say we are so good at procrastinating? And
Mm.
how can we start to shift that idea of procrastination?
So, if you remember in school, you would be told you have an assignment and you had a deadline for it, right? And whether or not you got it done 2 minutes before, or you did it the very day where it was assigned, or you did it somewhere in the middle, there was like a bookend to it. And so it was, here's your assignment,
Mhm.
this is when it's due. And you had to take action because you had that buffer. And so when you get out of school and when you go into business for yourself, you don't have any buffers. You're your own boss. You do whatever you want.
It's
And that's
true.
part of the attraction. But you can do whatever you want. You're your own boss. So it's a little bit of a two-sided coin there.
Mhm.
And the problem with it is, unless you have like such a crazy built-in accountability where it's just like when you say something, it gets done no matter what. I don't know many people like that. I think I know like 2 people like that, and they are both
I am not one of them.
one's
No, just
one's a
kidding.
gymnast, and both of them are triathletes. So that personality exists, But most of the people that I work with and most of the people in our world are really creative. And so sometimes we get distracted by all our little pretty butterflies that we're kind of following because we're like, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. And that's part of what like makes us excited to do our job, is that we can be creative and we've got all these opportunities and we've got all this freedom and we've got all this flexibility. And so, unless you have someone that is holding you accountable with some structure and you have like a person to answer to, you can just kind of let it go on and on and on and on forever. And there's really no
Yeah.
consequences other than like you're not going to maybe make a sale, maybe you won't make money. And so that's probably the biggest, I would say, consequence of procrastination, is that you hold yourself back just a little bit from earning what you could deserve. And so that
Totally.
procrastination just really kicks in when you are moving into that next limit. Gay Hendricks talks about it in his book The Big Leap, and it's like you're going up against that upper limit. And so if you've been at kind of like this level, so say you've been at like the $500 level in your business every month, and you want to launch a course and you want it to either replace that $500 or you want to add another $500 or whatever that number is, that is going to your next level. And so your brain is going to kind of be fussy about it because it's like, that's change. Are you sure? Like, what's that going to mean? How are we going to change? Oh, well, you might have to post more. You might have to be more visible. You might have to show your face more. You might have to have more conversations and open yourself up to the possibility that people will say no or ghost you or ignore you or not like you. And so with every limit, right? So every time you procrastinate, it's because you're fighting the thing you have to do to get to your next level, because it's scary. And it's okay that it's scary, and it's okay that we procrastinate. I mean, I have a dog Instagram. There's a reason. It's so much fun. It's great procrastination. I love it. I have more pictures of my dog on my phone than I've taken of myself in like 3 years, and I've had her for 2 weeks. It's amazing. And it's just like, it is what it is. And so as long as you can just go, I'm procrastinating. What do I know I need to do? How can I take the tiniest, littlest, babyest step forward and prove to myself that the earth is not going to open and swallow me whole and the sky will not fall? And the more you do that, and the more you just take those like little baby steps, the more you start to prove to yourself that like, it's okay. It's okay. Okay, we're good. All right, let's do this. And you kind of like ramp up a little bit and then you go. But you just got to like toe in the water a little bit. I'm not a cannonball person. I think sometimes you got to just get in the pool one step at a time.
I'm not either. Let's be real. I'm really not.
No.
That analogy is so perfect. That analogy is perfect. I'm the type, I'll dip my toe and then I'll step back. I'm like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
really need to go in. And then finally, I love that analogy so much. I'm going off on my own tangent now, but yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And then finally, eventually you get too hot from sitting outside in the sun and too hot from tanning that you just jump right in.
Then you have to. Yeah, then you have to go, right? Exactly.
Exactly.
There's that.
You have no choice.
I don't know who the person is, but it's the expression along the lines of when the fear of staying where you are gets bigger than the fear of change or the fear of the unknown. I think it's something along those lines. And one of your listeners, find it, let us know who it is, who I'm paraphrasing. But
right?
It's that idea of the fear. It tips kind of in your favor, and you suddenly go, well, I'm still scared, but I really want that thing, so I'm going to go for it.
The desire to have what you want outweighs the fear that you're experiencing, and that's where like the magic happens, because that's when you like take the leap and you believe in yourself just enough to get yourself to that next level that you were talking about. You nailed it. Nail on the head. I love that.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Rachel, this is my last question for you, and it's a question that I ask all my guests when they come on the show.
Oh, yes.
It's a good one. How can someone create a little more happiness in their day every day starting today?
I was thinking about this. You'll see me look down every now and again because I'm like, oh yeah, this question. And it's so funny because my brain always has like, these are 70 million things you could do, because I'm very much like that type A, like this is the list, these are the things, circle the one you want. And I think it's simpler than that. I think it's choosing that where you are is a good thing. And I think it's choosing that the journey will be enjoyed. And when you're on your way to the goal, you can still have fun while you're doing it. And just because other people are, say, farther ahead or where you want to be, it doesn't mean that there's a line in the sand and you're being told that's not for you. I think honestly, every day, if you choose that, when you see the world happening and you see the things out there that you want, you tell yourself that could happen for me. That's out there for me. That's waiting for me. And it's just choosing every day that could happen. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not me? And I think that really just takes the pressure off. And when you enjoy yourself and when you take that pressure off, you're just going to be happier because you're going to wake up every day and you're going to go through your day feeling good about who you are because you're not letting your brain take you down the rabbit hole of all the reasons why you're not doing enough or not good enough. You're choosing to go down the other path, which is, I'm doing great. Yeah, there's things I could improve on, but I'll get to it. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Why not me? You know?
I love that. I love that. That's such a beautiful answer. Thank you. It's true because you're letting yourself be open to yourself be open to every possibility that could potentially happen. So
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. Yeah. Which takes the pressure off. Take it from a perfectionistic typing, anxious, high stress person. Just take the pressure off. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your life.
Oh,
You're gonna get there.
important because exactly. Why else are you doing all the things? And that's kind of the thing too. When you take a step back and you look at your life like objectively, it's kind of like this is a big journey, a big ride. And we have all these things that we should do or things that society has told us are what we must do and whatever. And like that's fine. Some of the things we adopt, some of them we don't like them. But at the end of the day, like it's I think truly it's meant to be like a fun ride. But you have to choose to see it that way.
Exactly. And I think it's also really important to understand that I would say this is probably true even for Canada, even though you're just right above us in the United States, that there's this mentality of like you can sleep when you're dead. You can have fun when you retire. But it's this like work all the time, hustle every day, someone's out to get your job. You've got to be, the 112%, like work over family, and it's this cycle and this story that just keeps getting perpetuated in our society, and it gets reinforced by a lot of businesses and by a lot of communities inside businesses. And so when you can identify that, it's not something that, like you said, it's not a story you have to take on for yourself. You get to choose what stories you believe and what stories matter and what stories affect you. And so I think it's really important that remember why you got into business in the first place, to have freedom, to have flexibility, to get a dog and wake up at 1 and 5 in the morning and then do nothing on a Monday, So, and like, it's okay. You're still good. You're still on a podcast this week. You still got your clients to work with. Like, world did not stop, So
exactly. Exactly. I love that. That's so beautifully said. Where can our listeners find you so they can learn more about you?
Oh, yeah. So it's thecreativerachel.com is my website. And then Instagram is It's The Creative Rachel. And I believe Pinterest is The Creative Rachel. But yeah, you should be able to find me. You'll see a picture of a corgi on all of those and you'll be like, found her. So
that's the one.
That's the one. A lot of pictures of her dogs.
I love it. Thank you so much, Rachael, for coming on the podcast today. This was super fun, and I'm so glad to have chatted with you about all of this.
Thank you for having me. This is a ton of fun. I love this.
Me too. Me too. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to this week's episode on the podcast. Can't wait to see you in the next episode. Please let Rachael and I know what you love from this conversation, what resonates with you, and please be sure to connect with both of us if you have any questions at all. I know Rachael would love to hear from you and just see who's listening. So please share on your social media. Feel free to rate and review the show if you like this episode, and have a beautiful week. Remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it. Well, it looks like we've made it to the end of this episode. I'm so grateful for you tuning into this week's episode, and I cannot wait to see you over on the next one. If you loved this conversation and this topic as much as I did, please feel free to leave us a rating or a review wherever you're listening. It takes just a second, and it is so important for us so that we can make sure to deliver this content to those who need it. I'm wishing you the most beautiful day wherever you are in the world, and remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it.